Hello and welcome to this exclusive Web Design Tuts Plus screencast on the Pages feature within Fireworks. We're going to be using Fireworks CS5 here, although the feature was introduced in earlier versions. If you do have an earlier version, then don't worry, you probably will be able to complete the majority, if not the entirety, of this screencast. So we're going to head over to Fireworks here, and as you can see, I've got a very basic website here, or rather, a website mock-up. If we go over to the Layers tab, and by the way, I've slightly changed my UI from the default, just to extend the Pages pane for this specific screencast. If we navigate over to the Layers tab, you'll see that it's pretty much set up just as if it was from Photoshop. Now, I've basically copied very roughly and very quickly Photoshop mockup into Fireworks, just simply by copy-pasting. Now, this is kind of what you'd expect in Photoshop, where we've got a header, the header content in one folder, which we can hide and unhide, and the same with the footer, where we can hide and unhide, and then different content folders, so page 1, page 2, and page 3. So this is probably what you'd expect in Photoshop. Now, Photoshop is aimed more at graphic and maybe print designers rather than web mock-uppers. That's where Fireworks comes in. Fireworks is great for actually creating web mockups and web wireframes, because you can actually add a level of interactivity into it, and of course you can lay it out like a website. You can actually create pages and organize it as you would on a real website. So here we have one page, and I can name that anything I want. I just have to double click, just like a layer in Photoshop. Just double click and type whatever I want. I'm just going to type this as maybe default. Now I can right click and I can add a new page if I wanted to, duplicate the page, delete the page, rename the page, or even set it as the master page. Now we'll come into setting this master page just a little bit later. I can also choose if I want it numbered, and I can even set different thumbnail options, so I can maybe increase the size. I'm not going to do that. Now down here at the bottom of the pane, you can see I've got a little drop down menu here. Pressing that will allow me to actually navigate between the pages. Obviously I've only got one page here, but if I had multiple ones, I could access them from here. I can delete a layer, or rather a page, by selecting this little bin icon, and I can actually create one by selecting this kind of like upturned note icon. So across in my layers section or tab, I've got multiple folders. Now what I want to do is I want to separate up each of these 3 content folders into their own pages, because that's what it's all about. So to add a new page, I'll simply select that upturned note, and I instantly get a blank new page. So how would I go about actually adding this stuff? Well, I'm just going to do a simple copy and paste. This is obviously page 1, so I'm just going to copy page 2's content. And it's very simple. I'm just going to drag and control copy, or rather control C. Paste that in, and there we've got a second page. We can call this the gallery page. If I wanted to create a third page, maybe to display this kind of like block text element, I can do the exact same. Copy, and then I'll just add a new page, and maybe call it the about page. Now notice something different about this. This is actually put into second place. That's simply because I selected it. So maybe if I want to move the about page to maybe a later on stage, or that further down in the layers panel, I can simply hold and drag further down, and it'll move. Now back to this default page, or rather now it's actually the home page. I can just swap over this content onto page 1. So there, we've actually set up 3 very simple pages. We've got our home page here, our gallery page, and our about page. Now something interesting to note is this is just all copied. They're all independent pages. Nothing's linked and nothing's copied. Well, rather it is copied, but rather moved. They're not linked up with common elements. I can completely edit this page, and the effects aren't seen on the other pages. It's completely independent. However, to be honest, this kind of content, such as the logo or the navigation, is actually something that is common across all pages. And if I wanted to edit the logo, it should really apply to all pages, just as a real website would. So how exactly would I go about approaching that? Well, it's very simple. It's called the master page. So I'm just going to start a new page here, and I'm going to call it master. Just for ease, I'm going to move this up to the top. This master page is basically a blank page at the moment, but whatever content I put on this master page will apply to every other page. And what I want to do is to make this as the master page, I have to right click and simply set as master page. You can see a little extra icon appears in here, and in the drop down menu it hides it as a page and adds the little asterisk afterwards. So here we've got our different pages, and anything I put on the master page is going to be shown on these pages. So I can simply add maybe a box, and that box is seen on every other page. Now the elements that I would want to include are maybe these header elements and these footer elements. So that's exactly what I'm going to go ahead and copy across. Notice how that's gone, but when I go to the master page and paste that in, which it doesn't seem to have done, my apologies. I'm gonna copy that, pop it in the master page. There. I've actually deleted that there. I haven't deleted it, but that will apply onto each page, and you can actually see it building up here. So obviously, I can't edit it on here now because it's set as a master page. Anything I can't edit on here, anything that is appearing here, has to be edited via the master page. So I'm just going to delete these elements that are being copied across. And then, now the only content which is actually appearing on these pages is the actual page content. All the header content and all the footer content is completely independent to the actual rest of the content. If I try and highlight it all, the only thing that's actually highlighted is this page content. And if we head back to the master page, I can maybe move this logo, and the effect is seen on every other page. Pretty cool. So now what we should start to look at is actually linking the pages up. We've got a master page here which includes the navigation menu. Well, what about these other pages? How are we going to navigate to them in our mockup? Well, we're going to use this tool across here, the rectangular hotspot tool. I'm going to select that, and I can change the shape if I want. So I'm going to head over to the master page, and I'm going to draw a hotspot across the home. I'm going to add a link. Now, how do I link to a page? Well, Fireworks does it all. We've already got home.html here, which if I click that, that's going to link it to home. And I can also set alternative text or even a target. If I want to, just for the sake of viewing, I can actually change the fill color of that kind of like icon. It doesn't really make that much difference. So I'm just going to draw some other hotspots. And there. So we added some hotspots into there, and that will all then link up to these other pages. Now, just to demonstrate this, I'm actually going to export it, but rather than export it as a full HTML, Fireworks actually allows you to export it as a PDF, which is great if you're creating interactive PDFs. But simply to avoid browser interpretation, I'm just going to save it as a PDF, just so I can demonstrate the effects of the hotspot. So just going to wait for it to save that. And there, so we've got a PDF here, and as you can see, the content's being copied across. It's a bit over-resoluted because it's only an 800 pix by 490 documents. But if we click home, it's going to take us to home page. If we click about, it's going to take us to our about page. So the actual hotspots do work and function as you'd expect on a real website. So that's just a brief overview of the Pages feature in Fireworks. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of some of the basic features. So if you want to set as a master page, you simply right click and click set as master page. From that same menu, you can add a new page, you can duplicate the page, delete it, rename it, or you can actually link it to the master page. Now, pages are completely independent and each have their own layers. And to add a hotspot, we simply use this hotspot tool with the kind of like little chain link in the web box of this side, and we can draw a hotspot. We can change the shape if we want, so we can have an oval or even a polygon. So that's a brief overview of Fireworks. If you want any more screencasts to be seen, then simply head over to the comments section and leave us a comment on what you'd like to see in future screencasts. This has been Connor Turnbull for Web Design Tuts Plus at webdesign.tutsplus.com.